everybody, this is Jennifer and welcome to my channel where I talk about books, music, movies, and anything else that takes my fancy. Today I'm going to go over the books I read in June and what I'm currently reading. I'm not going to be doing a TBR, probably not for the rest of the year because I'm planning on reading from my bookshelves. I'm probably going to do a very long TBR video later that's showing all the books on my shelf that I have to read because I'm not doing... I have a few more audiobooks from the library, but other than that, I'm not reading any other books that don't belong to me, especially, and I'm going to focus mainly on the ones I bought before January 1st, 2017, and if you want to know why, you can check out my reading challenges video that I did last. So, let's go ahead and get started. The first book I finished in June is, I don't actually own any of these, which is why I'm doing this project. Anyway, but the first book is The Universe in a Nutshell by Stephen Hawking. I got that on Library Loan as an audiobook. It was a reread. I still liked it. However, I have been reading a lot of Stephen Hawking, and he repeats a lot of the same stories, so it wasn't as good as it could have been. But it was still pretty darn good. So the second book... Oh yeah, and that got 3 stars. The second book I read was The Sea Wolf by Jack London, which I absolutely adored, and I forgot to take from my shelf so I can show it to you. Oh well, you've seen it in other videos. Yeah, this was 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. So yeah. The third book I read was another audiobook from the library, another science book. It was Astrophysics for People in a Hurry by Neil deGrasse Tyson. Yeah, so a lot of it was stuff I already knew, and I was listening to it while it was work, so I didn't get a whole lot from it, but I liked it, and it was by Neil deGrasse Tyson, so it got 3 stars from me. So number 4 was a ebook loan from my library. It's Sex and the Single Girl by Helen Gurley Brown. It got 3 stars for me. It was I thought it was charming. However, some of it was really kind of outdated because they didn't really, I got like the 90s 30-year anniversary edition, or maybe the 25-year anniversary edition, and they didn't do a whole lot of updates. So some of it was quite outmoded, but there's some good stuff in there. So, like this one thing that I remember from it. Just like, anybody who goes out more than 3 times a week for lunch is a spendthrift. That I'm gonna try to start doing that. I'm gonna try to start bringing my lunch because I really feel like that could help keep my finances in check. So it's a piece of good advice from Helen Gurley Brown. Anyway, so after that I read Margaret the First by Danielle Dutton. This got 4 stars for me. It was a ebook loan from the library. I might actually end up buying that because I'm gonna want to reread this one. I thought it was lovely, and her there's several things about it that I really connected with. Her restlessness at being creative and not having the proper tools to show, to put out there what she had inside her, because she wasn't well educated at all, and her spelling was atrocious and all kinds of stuff, and just the trials of trying to be a creative woman in that time. I thought it was really well written, and I really connected with those parts. So yeah, that was 4 stars, and I really liked it. I'm probably gonna reread. So number 6 was an audiobook that I own personally from my Audible account, which I love Audible. Was The Disappearing Spoon and Other... This has a really long subtitle, hold on. The Disappearing Spoon and Other True... something... Oh, I swear I put that it was a reread. And Other True Tales of Madness, Love, and the History of the World from the Periodic Table of Elements by Sam Kean. This was 5 stars because this is pretty much my favorite science book of all time, basically. Yeah. Get some really, really, really good stuff. And you learn a lot about the history of the world from this stuff, because there's a really funny story about a kid who wants to get some enriched uranium in order to make a reactor or something. And then there's a really sad story of the man who basically helped start up the weapons program for the Nazis, and what happened with his wife. It's very sad. But it's really, really interesting, and it's not minute, you know? They'll go through the families of elements and all that, and different kinds of stories. Anyway, I highly recommend that if you're into science. So the 7th book I read this month, if I've been saying years before, I apologize, but the 7th book I read this month was The Demon Haunted World, Science is a Candle in the Dark by Carl Sagan. This got 3 stars from me. Probably should have been 2, but I can't give anything under 3 stars to Carl Sagan. I just can't. All right, so yeah, the first 2/3 dealt a lot with aliens and psychics, and I was like, I remember that stuff from when I was a kid, but I don't really hear much about that anymore. So it felt a little bit outdated. However, when it gets to the part about having a good BS detection system and being scientifically skeptical about certain claims, and just the abhorrent lack of, no, abhorrent's probably not the better word for that, but the seriously depressing lack of a science education in the American public, that was really, it's still relevant today, and it's probably going to end up being more relevant as we go on. Anyway, so yeah, that got 3 stars, and the last third was definitely much better than the first 2/3. Okay, so the second to last book I finished, number 8, was The Argonauts by Maggie Nelson. This was also another 4-star read for me. I loved this. I mean, there were parts that some of the subject matter is sufficiently out there where I couldn't really connect to it as a whole, but there are parts of it that I found really, really deep for me. And overall, though, the writing, I adore her writing. I didn't have to look up too many words, but it felt really flowy and lyrical. It wasn't stilted or slow at all. So I really appreciated her writing, and I'm probably going to try Bluets at some point, but not anytime soon. Yeah, so, yeah, like I said, it was hard to connect to some of the subject matter, and she's on a, if I'm here intellectually, she's here. So I felt a little bit inadequate, just a little, to reading this book, but not a lot, because I found the writing really accessible, like I said. So yeah, I really liked it. I learned about some new art that I hadn't known about before, and there's this part where she's giving birth to her kid Iggy, and then there's her partner Harry is telling about the death of his mom. Anyway, so yeah, I probably did not use the right pronoun there, but I don't know. This is a bit off the cuff. Anyway, so yeah, I really enjoyed that, and I'm looking to get a hard copy version because I got the ebook version from my library, and apparently there's stuff in the margins that I'm not privy to because it didn't translate to the ebook page the way it should have, and it ended up at the end. Anyway, so I'm gonna try I have it on my Amazon wish list to get the hardcover version of that, and probably Bluets too. Also, anyway. So, the last book I read was number 9. It's I Hate Everyone Except You by Clinton Kelly, who was one of the hosts of What Not to Wear on TLC, and is currently one of the hosts of The Chew on ABC. I don't really watch Chew because it's in the middle of the day and I'm at work. But back in the day, in my 20s, I loved me some What Not to Wear. And I would watch whenever they did like a holiday binge on TLC, I would watch for like hours and hours and hours. Anyway, so I have a soft spot for Clinton Kelly. It got 3 stars because it's good and I enjoyed it. I'm probably not going to end up rereading it or anything like that. So if I don't have an interest in rereading something, it almost always tends to go to the 3s. 3 stars, unless I didn't like it, and then yeah. If I liked it, but I don't want to reread it, then it's a 3. So yeah, it was a quick read, and it was a palate cleanser to one of the books I'm going to talk about in just a second. Am I currently reading? I really needed something light and fun to cut through this book, which is on my. So let's move along to the currently reading. What I'm currently reading on audiobook, which is a loan from the library, is The Silk Roads: A New History of the World by Peter Frankopan. I saw this on Amy's channel, and I thought it was interesting. So yeah, I'm almost done with that. I'm still working through it. I'll probably finish it tomorrow because I'm on the last chapter and a half anyway. But yeah, it's history and people are mean to each other sometimes, so I needed a palate cleanser because it's a pretty long book, and so I'd been listening to it for well over a week and I just needed to take a break. So I listened to the Clinton Kelly, which did its job. Anyway, that and old episodes of the Thrilling Adventure Hour, which is the best thing ever. Anyway, so yeah, Silk Roads is what I'm currently reading. What I'm reading on my ebook, on my Kindle, is Auntie Mame by Patrick Dennis, which was one of my summer TBR reads. And it's also one of the books that I owned prior to 2017, so it can be added to my Mount TBR goal. And what I'm also in the middle of is Slouching Towards Bethlehem by Joan Didion. I'm going to try to get this done in July, but like I said, I'm taking my time with this one. It's a whole bunch of separate essays, so there's not a through line that you have to keep up with, so this one's easy to just dip in and out of, though I do want to actually finish it so I can add it to my Mount TBR list. So yeah, and like I said, if you don't know what the Mount TBR is, if you check my videos, it's on my 2017 reading challenges update. Okay, so yeah, that's what I read in June. It's also what I'm currently reading. Be on the lookout for bookshelf tours because that's what I'm filming next. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Have a nice day. Bye.